listening to DORiS Radio.
You're listening to DORiS Radio on WHCP.
You're listening to DORiS Radio on WHCP.
DORiS Radio on WHCP.
Welcome back, guys. This is Jessica Cruz, and you're listening to DORiS Radio on WHCP 101.5 FM. Keep it locked.
Booyah! That was awesome, man. Had it on a blast, hanging out with you guys and listening to the music, sharing some really inspirational messages with us through your music and through your personal stories. And I would love to know what are some of the things that you guys feel would be, are gaps or gaps of information within the community, some things that you feel would be beneficial for us to know as people who maybe aren't a part of the system and aren't having access to this information and aren't encountering as much. What are things that we can do to be more proactive and help things along?
Yeah, so our greatest need is for parents who are willing to care for children who are the older youth. So by older youth, I usually say 10 and up. Even though 10 seems young, they're still kind of hard to place sometimes with their age. And actually 50% of that 22 children Richard was saying, so 52% of them are over ages 10 and over.
Wow.
So we really do need parents that are willing to work with that age and help them with independent living things, when they get to that age, how to get their driver's license, how to kind of manage money and start looking at, their bank account, getting a job. Like, those are things that lack for children that are those ages. I'll even push it up like 13, up to aging out. If they never learn those skills, then they struggle. And unfortunately, sometimes it's a cycle, where children who are in care grow up, have kids, and they don't know how to manage their lives and their emotions and their finances, and
they were never taught.
They were never taught, and they're, unfortunately, sometimes their kids come back into care, and they're distrusting of the system, so they're a little bit more, they give a little more pushback, and of course that doesn't help anything. So, so if we could, bite that off at the head and get people who are willing to work with that age and teach them those things, I think that would just be amazing. I think that would be, even if we had one home who was like, I'll take only teenagers, it would be a great help. And I think another kind of sad but eye-opening fact is only 25% of the children who've come into care from our county actually live in our county.
Okay.
So because we have so few resources, unfortunately, we can't place all the children in homes in the area that they're familiar with. So, like the child Richard was talking about earlier, he started here, was in like 4 or 5 homes here, and then got moved all the way to Hagerstown. Had to get all new therapists, get all new school, get all new everything. They kind of lose everything that they know. And we were just talking about earlier how different it is, on the shore versus even just the western shore, across the bridge. So it's a big culture shock to these kids. So that's a small number of, 25%. That's only, out of that 22, like 4 or 5 kids that are in care where they grew up. So. And
that the 22, that's the 22 kids in Dorchester County?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So our foster parents, when you become a foster parent, you get licensed in your county that you live, but you're actually eligible to take children all through the state of Maryland.
Okay.
So if there's a need for a child in another county and you're able to help, you can still help.
Awesome.
It's just some logistics to work out with the location, but so.
And I think the biggest thing foster parents also need to understand is that it sometimes can be a sticky situation for them because they are an extension of the department. So, we're going to not have the resources to send out to every supervised visit that, you have to be okay with supervising a visit between bio parent and child. Fully knowing that, if that child doesn't stay in care for 16 out of 22 months, they're going back home. And so not necessarily getting emotionally attached right away, which is really tough for all of us.
Where's home? Home like the foster home?
So if in Maryland, a child has to be in care for 16 out of 22 months. So that means out of 22 calendar months, they have to be in foster care for 16 before they can be adopted. But reunification is always our number one goal. So foster parents have to understand that, if I'm supervising a visit between kid A and their bio parent, there's a good chance that within the next, 22 months, kid A could still go back to his biological parents. And that's sometimes tough. But, we also have parents that are, resource parents that are also the exact opposite, where they want to be engaged because they want to have post-reunification communication. Some of our foster parents want to do those and are willing to do those long-distance transports to, wherever the biological parents are, or to supervise because, one family we have here in Dorchester County, one youth, they have 2 adopted children. They adopted through private adoption. They're also a resource home for us. They had one of our kiddos during holidays. They took our youth that was in care to their biological families for Christmas and Thanksgiving and had no problem with it. Dropped the kid off, said, call me when you're ready. And to this day, those resource parents are a network for this youth. So if he's having a bad day and he can't reach me or, any of the workers, he'll call this individual family and go, hey, can I come over for a few minutes and just, clear my head and talk to you? And they're absolutely, come on over. Even though he's no longer living in their home because his placement's changed, they'll forever be a natural resource for him. And that's also something that resource parents need to know going into it is that, that child that you have for that little bit of time or permanently is going to want to use you as a resource, and you have to be, willing and able to do that. And if you're not, that's fine. Let us know that, because we have to be able to tell that kid from, jump, hey, listen, this isn't going to be a forever resource. They're only living here. But the parents I've worked with in the last 2 years I've worked at the department, I've not met one family that's not like that. They're all willing to say, hey, why have you? If your mom and dad want to call, I'll monitor the phone call. You can talk to them. They can come by on weekends. You can go see your little brother, your little sister. And that's what we need. We need more parents that are willing to be parents and not just a resource. And, love that child like they're your own, but also know that one day they may go back home to their biological parents.
Yeah, and we have been trying to switch the language from foster parents to resource parents. So it's the same thing. That's what Richard was mentioning. It's the same program, but we changed to resource because these families are a resource to the whole family. They're a resource to the child in care. They're a resource to the bio mom, bio dad in care. Extended family members. They're a resource, to be tapped into.
They're saying, I'm here if you need help.
I'm
here to provide it.
So that's like the commitment that we were kind of speaking about earlier. They have to be physically able and emotionally able to do those things, and just know that going in. And we talk about a lot of this through the training. I mean, we're given a crash course here, but yeah. So.
Well, before we go into our third song, I'd love to hear from you guys about what is something that you would say to your younger self, knowing what you know now today.
Is this like this segment C? Okay, so I wanted to answer this question as a foster youth. So to finish this statement, someday I'll. These kids want just basic things. So someday I'll find a place that I belong. Someday I'll be happy. Someday I will find someone who will not give up on me. And I feel like as simple as those statements are, it's a lot of things that I think it's real and like we take advantage of it. Like you were asking earlier about our childhood. Like I said, I've had a great childhood, and to think that it's a right that everyone should have. Everyone should have a great childhood. It's just something that it's just simple.
Take it for granted.
Yeah, you take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, I didn't, kind of like privilege. You take your privileges for granted, and it's just something small that these kids don't have. So through our outreach, I hope that we find people that can give that, hope to these kids. Give them that future. Give them that happiness. Give them just their childhood back. Yeah. Be able to take them to a ball game. Be able to enroll them in sports. A lot of these kids don't get to do those things that are just basic things that you think about when you think about your childhood. So I'm hoping that we can spread that message, give these kids give them a future, I guess.
And one thing I've always told the kids I've worked with, whether it was while I was a therapist or even now, when a kid comes into care, I tell them 3 things. I said, you're smart, you're kind, and you're important. You're smart because it doesn't matter what grade you get. You've already lived, you're full of street smarts because you're able to survive and last through the foster care system, which by no means is an easy feat. It's tough. You're gonna be called, that foster kid at school. You're gonna be made fun of. So that you're smart. You can be someone. Where you came from and why you came into care doesn't make you who you are. You're kind because whatever brought you into care, whether it's abuse or neglect or abandonment, whatever, that's not you. You're not defined about this. You're not defined by the events of your life. You're defined about the moments in your life. So, what did you do yesterday that made you an awesome person today? And just keep living those things over and over again. And also, to know they're important. That you may not feel important, but to your bio parents because they're no longer in the picture for whatever the reason is. But you're absolutely important to your DSS staff. You're important to your foster care workers. Your CASA volunteers, your foster providers or your resource home providers. Like, you mean the world to us, and that's why we do what we do every day.
Beautiful, guys. Oh man, thank you so much again. Thank you so much for coming on, for educating us, for doing the work every day, and please let us know where we can find you guys online. DSS.
So we have a Midshore website that gives a lot of fast facts. It gives you information of how to inquire. It has a just contact us button. So that is all one word, midshoreresourceparents.com.
midshoreresourceparents.com. Awesome, man. So, guys, we are about to close out with our third and final track for the people. Tell me about Wanted by Hunter Hayes.
So, this song, it's a country song. It's kind of just easygoing. But overall, the message, we want foster families who are going to make these kids feel wanted. You hear about the trash bags. They come to you in trash bags. They feel like trash. They feel like they're thrown away. But it's kind of your job as a foster parent, a resource parent, to change that narrative, make these kids feel wanted, make them feel loved, and that's the best that we could hope for.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, guys. Again, this has been Richard Gooding and Jessica Cruz, and you're listening to DORiS Radio. Closing out with Wanted by Hunter Hayes. Keep it locked.
DORiS Radio on WHCP.
You're listening to DORiS Radio on WHCP.
You're listening to DORiS Radio.
DORiS Radio on WHCP 101.